Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm very happy to have you here, guys. Today I want to do like a first impression for two fragrances that I actually received a lot of questions about. Both are from Paris Corner and both are from the Khair series. I have here Khair Fusion and Khair Pistachio. Now, Khair Pistachio is an inspiration to Kayali's Yum Pistachio Gelato, and Khair Fusion is an inspiration of sparkling lychee, but I forgot the rest of the name. Not Edam sparkling lychee, no. Sparkling lychee. I want to let you know how these fragrances smell like, how they develop, if they remind me of other fragrances. Unfortunately, I haven't tried the OG fragrances that both of these are inspired by. Here at my local Sephora, they do not carry Kayali fragrances to test them, unfortunately, so the only way was for me to blind buy them, and honestly I didn't want to blind buy them. But I will judge these two as standalone fragrances and I will let you know my thoughts about these fragrances. Now, keep in mind, I've tried both of these fragrances 2 times prior, so it will be somewhat of a first impressions mixed with a little bit of review. You know, maybe I will update you in the future about these fragrances as I get more time to wear them, to test them, as they sit a little bit. If anything changes, I will update you in the future for sure. So as you guys, if you are based in the European Union and if you would like to get decants of these fragrances or full bottles, shop on Dubai Collection. I cannot recommend them enough. I've had amazing feedback from people who purchase from them. Amazing prices for their fragrances. They are extremely affordable. They also sell decants, which is, like I always mention, is a huge bonus because you get to actually test the fragrance first. You know, like you do not have to blind buy a fragrance to get like first impression on the fragrance. You can actually get decants first of all, and let's just say if you enjoy the fragrance, then you can purchase the full bottle. So let's just start, you guys. Let's start with Khair Fusion. This fragrance, as much as I do not enjoy the typical summery fragrances, this fragrance left a mark or an impression on me. And right from the start, you guys, if you are looking for a very easy to enjoy, fruity, happy, uplifting, but very feminine summer fragrance that you can wear alone, you can wear layered, because the DNA of this fragrance will morph extremely well with so many other fragrances, this is the fragrance. So let me actually apply it here on paper and tell you how it smells like. It opens up very sweet. It's a fruity style of sweetness. To me, you guys, this fragrance smells from the opening till the dry down. It smells like a lychee mocktail. Like it legit smells like a cocktail, but without alcohol. So it's like a mocktail for the summertime. So it smells very fruity, very sweet. I'm imagining you have there like a lychee puree mixed with some. I also detect, so first of all, let me tell you this. First of all, I'm hit with the lychee smell. It's done very beautiful here. Nothing sharp, nothing flat, nothing alcohol in the opening. The lychee feels somewhat a little bit dewy in a mocktail sense, if you know what I mean. So you have this lychee accord that feels pretty airy yet dewy, but it's pretty flavored. It smells red, it smells dewy, it smells a little bit fresh, a little bit aquatic, but the lychee here is extremely sweet. It's almost like you make the lychee puree for the mocktail, but you also add lots of sugar in it because it has the same sugared undertone that you also have in Eden Sparkling Juicy Apple. To me, this fragrance could easily be a cousin to Kayali's Eden Sparkling Juicy Apple. But think instead of the apple, you change it with lychee, and also you add a yellow tropical fruity facet in the background. To me, this fragrance doesn't smell just like lychee, so it's red, it's aquatic, you know, no, to me, you have this lychee facet, but in the background, you have this beautiful, creamy in a sense, sweet as well, abstract yellow tropical fruity accord. I don't know why in my mind I'm thinking passion fruit, perhaps with a little bit of orange, something like this, but I can say like I pick up only a certain facet. This is why to me it's more like an abstract yellow tropical fruity accord, but it adds such a beautiful touch to the fragrance. So the opening of the fragrance feels definitely fruity, a little bit cold, a little bit aquatic, but again, not a blue style of aquatic. To me, an aquatic fragrance in a sense of a mocktail style of drink, you know, like a drink dewy, that style of aquatic, not a blue fresh kind of aquatic. It feels slightly sparkling in a sense, especially in the opening for the first few minutes. That lychee really has a sparkling quality to it in a sense that adds a lot of vibrancy to that accord in a sense. So it's a very multifaceted yet simplistic and straightforward fruity accord, but it has a lot of not flavor, it has a lot of movement in a sense, you know, it's not a flat fruity accord. And also the more I smell this fragrance, I also start to detect the softest, delicate, again, very abstract floral facet in the background. Think a very airy, breezy, light and bright kind of white floral accord, you know, so it's nothing indolic, nothing overly challenging, overly complex, you know, it just adds almost like an airy quality, but like a floral airy quality to the fragrance. But I feel like this facet, you have it behind that fruity accord, behind the lychee and behind the tropical fruity facets. And I also detect a very delicate, like powdery, musky facet in the background. Yeah, this is how the fragrance smells like in the opening. It's very fun, it's very joyful in a sense, it feels very happy, very uplifting, very bubbly, feminine, giggly, you know, it's that kind of energy to me. Now, as this fragrance develops, what I've noticed that it happens is that the fruity accord goes a little bit more abstract. It loses some of that bright, airy, very light and breezy quality, and to me, in a sense, it goes a little bit denser and it feels much more round overall. I feel like you have still that lychee accord from the opening. It will linger up until the dry down, so you will not lose this fruity accord. And also what I noticed that lingers, and I actually really appreciate this about the fragrance, is that beautiful sugared undertone. It almost feels a little bit candied like in the background, you know. Yeah, and also as the fragrance develops, I feel like a little bit of vanilla starts to shine. Now this fragrance, I can say that it's sweet because of the vanilla, because to me the sweetness feels sugared here in a way. But what I feel like the vanilla adds here, besides that few drops, few pinches of something sweet, to me it makes the fragrance feel much rounder overall. So you lose a little bit of that musky, powdery quality, you lose a little bit of the breezy florals, and like I've mentioned, you start to lose a little bit of that bright and light and airy quality, and the overall fragrance gets a little bit more compact. And to me, in the dry down, this smells like if you have ever drank or smelled better. But I remember a few years ago we used to have these drinks with lychee pieces inside, like a mineral water with lychee pieces, or like lychee parts inside, like the fruit pulp, you know, in a sense. This is how it smells like to me in the dry down. So it still manages to maintain this slight aquatic facet, but again aquatic dewy in a sense, you know, not blue. This doesn't smell blue to me, by the way, at all. So it just smells like a lychee flavored vitamin water. You know, if you have ever smelled something like this, or if you have ever drank or tasted something like this, you will get the resemblance for sure. But to me, what happened, much more sweet with lots of sugar added there, you know, so it feels like a pretty concentrated sweetness wise lychee flavored vitamin water. Yeah, to me, you guys, this fragrance gives me carefree, this gives me playful, this gives me flirty, this gives me good vibes, summer, that kind of energy that you're like very carefree, you're like living life, you're very happy, you're giggly, you're laughing, you know, you're just enjoying your time. This is the energy that this fragrance embodies to me. Like I've mentioned, this is not a serious fragrance, this is not one of those fragrances that feel extremely sophisticated and unique in a sense, perhaps something that you've never smelled, you know. To me, this fragrance, no, is the opposite. It's fun, it's bright, it's fruity, it's girly, it's fun, it's feminine, it's everything you want if you have a taste for lychee in your fragrances, and if you have a taste for fruity fragrances in general, but not just fruity with a sugary undertone in a sense. Now, yes, like I've mentioned in the beginning of the video, to me this fragrance could be like a distant cousin to Kayali's Air and Juicy Apple, and also to the version of Khatlaj, their inspiration, or a Kiss of Rose. I always mix up the names. Or a Kiss of Rose. So if you have these two fragrances, and if you have a taste for these style of fragrances, this to me, it's a remake on that DNA, but with an emphasis on the lychee and with an emphasis on that slight sugared facet in the background, and also with an emphasis on an added tropical fruity accord. But it's delicate, it's not that kind of tropical fruity accord that feels extremely creamy like Jasmine Wisp. So I would say if you enjoy fragrances like Jasmine Wisp, if you enjoy fragrances like the previous two that I have mentioned. If you enjoy fragrances like, let me think, like Mula Mula, like Mojo, you know, if you enjoy this style of fragrances, then you would pretty much enjoy this fragrance for sure. Honestly, there is not much to not enjoy about this fragrance. I feel like at most what people might complain about this fragrance as I'm smelling it is that it's too simplistic, it's too girly, it might feel a little bit juvenile. But again, if you do not enjoy those kind of fragrances, this is not for you. Now, even though I have mentioned that it feels very carefree and happy and uplifting, I still do not feel that this fragrance smells like a kid's fragrance, like a teenager's fragrance, you know. To me, it still feels like a timeless fragrance in a sense, or perhaps not timeless in the sense of a classic, timeless in the sense that everyone could enjoy this fragrance. Doesn't matter if you're 14, if you're 20, 30, 50, 60 and above. If you have a taste for this kind of fragrances, you can wear it easily without feeling like you're wearing a kid's fragrance. Yeah, now let me touch a little bit on gender, performance, versatility and everything like this. So let me start with gender. First of all, you wear whatever you like, okay? Like, I am not here to teach you what kind of fragrances you wear whatever makes your heart happy. But if you were to ask me, does this lean more feminine, unisex or masculine? I would say this definitely leans extremely feminine. Like I say, when I smell this fragrance, I think of fun times, I think of giggles, I think of laughter, I think of flowy dresses, I think of like hair let loose wild in the wind, you know, like dancing to the music. This is the kind of vibe this fragrance gives me. Very fruity. So if you resonate with this kind of fragrances, you could easily wear it. If you do not resonate with this kind of fragrances, you will not enjoy this fragrance, let's just say. Now, seasons, to me, this is the kind of fragrance that, in my opinion, shines the best in warm weather, or maybe it shines the best in warm weather, in my opinion, because that's the only time I would myself wear this kind of fragrances. Let's just say that during colder days of spring, autumn days, winter days, early days of spring, perhaps even, you know, where it's that transitional period, I prefer to wear other kind of fragrances on me. But if you live in places where perhaps it's very hot, it's very humid all year round, you want something that feels extremely feminine, that won't feel suffocating yet sweet. Keep in mind, this is very sweet, you guys. Different types of sweet accords. Again, try this fragrance, test it, and let me know how you feel about it. Now, performance, from what I remember, it lasted around 5 hours for sure. After 5 hours, I have to be very honest, I haven't really timed it, you know, but perhaps the scent still lingered up until the 6th hour, but it was the skin scent, meaning that I had to get really close to my skin to be able to smell it. So those were my thoughts about Khair Fusion. Now let's move on to the next fragrance, and let's talk about Khair Pistachio. Now, you guys, I didn't know what to expect getting this fragrance, because I have seen the polar opposite feedback when it comes to Kayali's Yum Pistachio Gelato. I read some people said that it smells like a gelato, some people said that it doesn't smell like a gelato, it doesn't smell like an ice cream at all, it smells extremely different than how they thought. So in my mind, I had all these different ideas as to how it was supposed to smell, and let me just tell you, it has surprised me, and it definitely didn't smell the way I was expecting this fragrance to smell like. Now, perhaps I would spray this fragrance on my skin, because I feel like, look, if this is your simplistic, definitely not complex, but very well done, straightforward summery fragrance, this to me actually feels a little bit more complex. It goes through more of a complex development, let's just say. And what I mean by this is the fragrance does change as the scent lingers on your skin. How it smells in the opening is not how it smells in the heart, and how it smells in the heart is not how it smells in the last bits of the dry down. Now, I have tried this fragrance on my partner's skin as well. On him, I have to say, it felt much stronger. The scent felt like it projected much better. On my skin, the scent felt a little bit more mellow, but not mellow in a sense that feels like an eau de toilette or an eau de cologne or something like this. Just it didn't have the oomph that it has on his skin. But keep in mind, he's very hairy, so this is maybe why the scent lasted and projected so much off of his skin. So I don't know, but let me just spray this fragrance. So the opening is cold, is very cold. It's cold and slightly refreshing, slightly citrusy at the same time. Citrusy, I think something bergamot with a little bit of lemon and perhaps a touch of lime. That's the kind of fusion. It's not really acidic to the point where it smells just like a freshly cut lemon, but it smells refreshing, cold, musky, and very breezy. And the opening to me is not the best part. To me, this fragrance, the more it sits, the better it gets, and the more the notes that, let's just say, make this DNA more emblematic, the more they start to shine. In the opening, to me, it takes a little bit of time until the notes, let's just say, in the accord starts to settle on your skin, because in the beginning I told you, it smells a little bit abstract. But see, even as I'm smelling, I still get all these different facets that I told you in the opening, but now those deeper, richer, denser notes really start to shine, you guys. I detect something minty, perhaps that's where I get the refreshing quality from. And I also detect cardamom. You guys, in the opening, to me, it reminds me, it's like a two-in-one fragrance. On one hand, you have some gourmand leaning notes, but then on the other hand, in the opening, you know what it smells like? To me, it smells like if you have ever smelled one of your dads or one of your uncles or your granddad's shaving cream, but those that were spicy green, scented. I don't know why I get a resemblance to the shaving cream, to that specific style of shaving cream, you know. Very airy yet creamy, a little bit sweet, but a very neutral kind of sweetness, and very spicy and green. I still detect here, let's just say 3 minutes in since I've sprayed this one on my skin, I still detect that pretty harsh musk that in a sense cuts a little bit, or it doesn't let you to fully experience the other notes. In a sense, it envelops them, and also it suffocates them a little bit. And this is why I say, in a sense, that I'm struggling a little bit in the opening to smell the notes behind that sharp musk, you know. But like I've mentioned, as the fragrance develops and as that airy, refreshing facet starts to tone down a little bit, I actually start to pick up the notes. And now, you guys, to me, it smells creamy and vanillic with a creamy, spicy green overtone, in a sense. So first of all, when I smell it, I smell the creamy green accord that feels slightly mentholated, and I'm guessing that's because of the mint. I like I've said, you guys, I smell mint in this fragrance, and it's creamy, sweet, spicy, and green. This is how it smells, on a base of something creamy and vanillic. And now I start to detect a beautiful nutty undertone to the fragrance. I'm telling you, this fragrance doesn't smell like how I expected it to smell like. And from this moment on, let's just say from 10-15 minutes in, that slightly overpowering musk that you had in the opening starts to tone down more and more until you lose it completely. And the overall fragrance, from starting off as like a crisp, refreshing, icy cold style of fragrance, very minty, mentholated in a sense, with something citrusy, very airy, very bright, very crisp and pretty cold. Now it gets much more creamy and dense, and you have here two types of accords to my nose that give the density. On one hand, like I've mentioned, you have the creaminess of the fragrance. It's this beautiful, I'm guessing this might be the pistachio gelato accord in a sense, because it smells creamy and spicy and green, with a nutty undertone that as it gets closer to the dry down, that nutty accord really steals the show, you guys. It gets more and more pronounced. But do not forget, you also have the greenness. You also have that slight spicy facet from the cardamom. You have that slight minty herbal-like nuance from the mint. And even though the mint and the cardamom are not the main nuances that I detect, but they still act there in a sense to give a lot of dimension to the fragrance, you know. Now I start to lose a little bit that shaving cream-like accord, but even when I mean shaving cream, I do not mean this in like a negative way. To me, I kept seeing people, I kept reading on Fragrantica that some people would say this is unisex, and this was marketed as unisex. I get why this fragrance was marketed as unisex. By the way, I had to take a little break, so I came back now. I get why this fragrance was marketed as unisex. It doesn't feel like the typical extremely sweet, extremely creamy, extremely playful, girly kind of fragrance like you have here in Fusion, in Khair Fusion, for instance. To me, to my nose, from the heart till the dry down, you have this beautiful dance between some notes that perhaps might lean a little bit more masculine, quote unquote, with some notes, and of course that might lean a little bit more feminine, quote unquote, you know. To me, the more masculine leaning notes are also the notes that remind me of a shaving cream. Like I told you, airy, creamy, dense, sweet, spicy, and green. This is what reminds me of the shaving cream. But then you have in the background that creamy vanilla that adds lots of sweetness. And you also have this beautiful, rich, dense, and extremely nutty accord that, to me, I'm guessing comes from the pistachio used here. From the pistachio accord, you guys. still feels pretty cold. And I'm guessing this is the ice cream resemblance, because the fragrance, even though it starts to morph and it starts to evolve on your skin, I don't feel like it actually goes much warmer until it gets to the dry down. That's when I feel like that refreshing cold facet faded away completely and the fragrance overall gets much more warm. But in a sense, the cold aura that you have here, it's almost like an overtone to the other nuances, you know? Yeah, this, you guys, I don't know if this is the safest blind buy, but I'm telling you, this fragrance has something pretty addictive about it. Like, the more you smell it, maybe the first time you smell it, it might be a shock for you, because if you've never tried the version from Kayali, perhaps you don't know what to expect. Again, I haven't tried the version from Kayali. I didn't know what to expect, and still this fragrance surprised me in such a way, because it smells pretty creative, it smells pretty different. It doesn't smell like that typical extremely sweet fruity fragrance, you know? Yeah, it's such a beautiful fragrance. Dare I say, actually, it's a little bit unisex, even though it's a unisex that leans feminine, but I still feel like men could pull off this fragrance. How I would picture men wearing this fragrance. Look, if you're a man and you have a taste for layering your fragrances, this is the kind of fragrance that you could layer with your rich, woody, spicy fragrances. Perhaps you have a fragrance that's extremely rich and woody and spicy, green spicy, or like different kind of spicy accords, and you would like to make that fragrance overall feel a little bit more dense, a little bit creamier, a little bit more round in a sense. Perhaps you would like to cut from the dryness of the woody accord or from the dustiness of the spicy accord, or perhaps you would like to add a slight refreshing summery tone to that fragrance. This is when this fragrance Khair Pistachio could really come in hand as a I think in hand, as a man. Though test it first. I'm telling you, it smells so different than how I pictured it, but I'm not mad about it, you guys. I don't have something like this in my collection. I can say that it's the most complex fragrance, but it has something that makes it stand out. It has something that, in a sea of refreshing citruses, in a sea of extremely sweet, gourmand, fruity florals for the summertime, or fruity musky fragrances for the summertime, when you wear something like this, it stands out in a crowd. It definitely stands out, and it stands out in a way that feels different, yet not too creative to the point where it feels challenging, perhaps for people around you. However, it's not that kind of fragrance that you smelled it in every department store, you know? It has something to it. And also, because of this cold sensation, I do think this is the kind of fragrance that you can wear in the summertime, like in the heat. The hotter, the better, in a sense. This one during cold season, maybe, I don't know, I guess this depends on your taste. Personally, again, this is the kind of fragrance that I would wear myself during warm weather and warm weather only. And also, this sounds, I keep saying this sounds, no, this doesn't sound, this smells like the kind of fragrance that would layer extremely well with many other fragrances, or let's just not say fragrances, but even though with fragrances, but also with different body lotions. Now, sweetness wise, in a sense, I was expecting the sweetness of this fragrance to be much more pronounced, or perhaps a little bit more amplified. Even though this fragrance does have sweetness, but it's a muted, creamy-like sweetness. It's not the kind of sweetness that leans like a true edible gourmand style of sweetness, you know? Yeah. It's a beautiful fragrance, you guys. It's a beautiful fragrance. It's a very unique fragrance to me. And when I mean unique, I don't mean unique in a sense that you've never smelled something like this, even though I have never smelled something like this myself. But unique in a sense that it creates a simplistic, straightforward summery fragrance, but with a twist, and it manages to somehow feel different than the regular fragrances marketed for warm season. So this is everything I wanted to say, you guys, for today's video. Thank you so much. Perhaps I will update you on both of these fragrances in previous videos to come down the line. I am back on YouTube and I am back to my filming schedule, and I'm very happy about that. Thank you again to Dubai Collection for sending me these decants. Do not forget, you guys, if you're based in Europe, or even if you are based outside of the European Union, for instance, they ship to the USA now, they ship to Switzerland, they ship to the UK. So in case you are based in the European Union or in these three countries and you would like to shop Paris Corner fragrances for amazing prices, definitely check them out. By the way, you guys, I forgot to mention that they raised the discount. So they used to give a 5% discount code, and now it's a 10% discount code. So feel free to use it, feel free to not use it if you want to shop on Dubai Collection. But anyhow, if you decide to try these fragrances, or if you have tried these fragrances, please let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you enjoy these fragrances. Let me know if they stood up to the hype, if you were expecting perhaps a little bit more out of them. Let me know how you feel about the performance. I would overall love to hear your feedback on the fragrance. And like I always say, not only that I would love to know it, but I'm sure everyone who's interested in purchasing any of these two fragrances, I'm sure that person could really use your feedback as well. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for supporting my work, for supporting my videos. I will see you in my next video. Do not forget, you can follow me here on Instagram if you want. I will leave my handle up here. But yeah, like I've mentioned, I will see you in my next video. But until then, I want to wish you an amazing day wherever you are. Bye guys.